Sony, being being the artist that I am at Sony, I've generated several $billion for Sony, several billion, and they really thought that my mind is always on music and dancing, and it usually is, but they never thought that this performer myself would outthink them.
Yeah!
Slave contracts. Slave contract is one of the biggest problems in the music industry right now. Lots of artists who dream of becoming famous and building a career end up signing these contracts without realizing they're agreeing to unfair terms. They're offered by big record labels and can trap artists into deals that aren't fair. When artists sign these contracts, they might not realize they're getting a bad deal. Instead of helping them succeed, these contracts can actually stop them from reaching their goals and being successful. In simple terms, let me explain. Slave contracts are when artists sign with a label and end up doing a lot of work, but they hardly get paid for it. Most of the money they generate goes to the label, and the artists get only a tiny part or sometimes nothing at all. Many artists get stuck with these labels and can't get out because they've signed slave contracts. Now, what does Michael Jackson have to do with slave contracts? In fact, what does this video have to do with anything? You might be wondering and have other questions like the conspiracy theories around Michael Jackson, why some people still believe he's alive or how he died. Was it murder? And if it was, who did it and why? These questions are all connected in some way, and today we'll try to find answers to them in this video. And you know what the biggest conspiracy and the biggest question is? Did Michael Jackson fake his death? No one has ever been as big an artist as Michael Jackson, and no one will ever be. People who listen to music today might think that current artists like Taylor Swift or The Weeknd have reached Michael Jackson's level. But those who have been following Michael Jackson from old times, who have been huge fans of him, they know how big of a deal Michael Jackson was. Michael Jackson was an enormous brand. He had so many die-hard fans that even if Michael was just standing in his shows, fans would faint just by seeing him. Controlling the crowd during his shows was really difficult, and people used to yearn just to see Michael Jackson once. Michael Jackson's brand had become so huge that the amount of money that came to the US government and all the big companies through Michael Jackson's brand was uncountable. The conspiracy theories around Michael Jackson's death, we need to understand how smart Michael Jackson was. Michael Jackson was extremely smart. Now I'll explain Michael Jackson's smartness. Eminem dissed Michael Jackson in one of his tracks, and in the music video for that track, he tried to mimic Michael Jackson. There was an accident that happened to Michael Jackson, which was then mimicked in the music video. Michael Jackson didn't like it at all. Any other artist might have replied to Eminem through a song or made some public comment.
I've never met Mr. Eminem, and to have him, I've always admired him, and to have him do something like that was pretty painful as an artist to another artist. And it's sad because, well, I think what Stevie Wonder said is true. And I just don't want to say too much more than that. But he should be ashamed of himself, what he's doing.
Michael had done nothing more than that, people thought. However, behind the scenes, Michael Jackson was planning something big. What weighed in the video seemed like a normal beef was actually part of Michael Jackson's bigger plan. The public thought this beef between Michael Jackson and Eminem lasted only a few days, but it ended after that. But what Michael Jackson did after that couldn't have been imagined. Michael Jackson bought Eminem's entire catalog indirectly. So now, whenever Eminem performed anywhere, some money would go to Michael Jackson. Every time Eminem performed, Michael Jackson got paid. You can imagine how smart it was. You have to be really smart to plan this move. And from this, we also get the idea of how powerful Michael Jackson was. This was a very strong move, and no one expected it. But if you think this move was very strong, let me tell you a story about the beef between Michael Jackson and Sony. For a long time, Michael Jackson and Sony worked together. I think for more than a decade, they supported each other, and many of Michael Jackson's songs were released through Sony over the years. Sony made billions of dollars from Michael Jackson's songs, but something happened that caused a beef between Sony and Michael Jackson. A fight started, and it began because Sony started to interfere with Michael Jackson's music. Along with that, the budget Sony allocated for Michael Jackson's music and music videos was significantly low. Because of this, there was a big difference in how Michael Jackson's songs were promoted. Sony wasn't doing what they were supposed to do to promote Michael's music. This was the first news that came out. But then the fight between Sony and Michael Jackson continued. People had no idea why it was happening or what was going on. Then one day, Michael Jackson came out publicly and talked about this.
You know, being the artist that I am, at Sony, I've generated several $1 billion for Sony. Several billion. And so I'm leaving Sony a free agent, owning half of Sony. So I own half of Sony's publishing, and I'm leaving them, and they're very angry at me because of it. But I just did good business, you know.
Michael Jackson made this announcement that he bought a percentage of Sony, the label he had been working with for so many years. After purchasing half of the label, Michael Jackson planned on leaving it. This move was one of the greatest business moves in the whole music industry. It was so amazing that people still talk about it to this day. But Michael Jackson didn't just come out publicly and say this, he mentioned some other things too. After his statement, many conspiracy theories started to emerge.
And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
Respect!
I'm not supposed to say what I'm going to say right now, but I have to let you in on a secret. Mariah Carey, after divorcing Tommy, came to me crying. She was crying so badly I had to hold her. And she said to me that this is an evil man. And Michael, this man follows me, she said. He taps her phones, and he's very, very evil, and she doesn't trust him. And he is a horrible human being. And we have to continue our drive until he's terminated.
Michael Jackson openly stated that Tommy Mottola is an evil man. He also revealed that at that time there was a very big artist, Mariah Carey, who was Tommy Mottola's ex-wife. The CEO of Sony, Tommy Mottola, used to follow every move of Mariah Carey, and he even tapped her phone calls. Tommy had a very powerful influence, and Mariah Carey shared all of this with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson then came out publicly and revealed all of this, stating that Tommy Mottola, the CEO of Sony, is an evil man. After hearing about the Mariah Carey situation, and along with Michael Jackson's statement that Sony kills music, a huge controversy started. Following this, two legends of the music industry, Sony, one of the biggest labels, and on the other side, the biggest pop star, Michael Jackson, had a beef between them. This was a significant event, as Michael Jackson also said that Tommy Mottola is a racist who does not allow black artists to grow. If Tommy Mottola has control, he makes every effort to prevent any black artists from growing, no matter how good they are. Michael Jackson took it a little personally because Michael Jackson himself was black. This fight between Michael Jackson and Sony had many reasons behind it, but the main point is what happened after this fight. To understand the aftermath of this fight, we'll need to go back a bit. We need to go back to 1984 when Michael Jackson had a bizarre accident. It happened when Michael Jackson's hair caught fire. For a while, Michael Jackson didn't realize that his hair was on fire because he was fully engrossed in his performance. But after a few seconds, he realized what was happening to him. He felt a sudden burning sensation on his scalp, and people rushed to help him. Due to the severity of the burns caused by that accident, Michael Jackson's scalp barely survived. Afterward, he underwent extensive healing processes through medication and plastic surgeries. As a result, Michael Jackson's entire appearance changed. Michael Jackson had to take a lot of medications for a very long time, and because of that, his entire appearance changed. Due to this, Michael Jackson looked very different from before. Like, you can see the pictures of Michael Jackson before and after. Inside Michael Jackson's regular medication, there was a medicine that was going to become a big part of a conspiracy theory, which was the propofol. Propofol was given to Michael Jackson because Michael Jackson was not able to sleep properly, as his mind was racing in many directions and he couldn't rest properly. Michael Jackson had a doctor who was always with him, and he would administer small amounts of propofol to him every night. This continued for many years through a drip, and then one day, news came out that shook the entire world.
Both the Los Angeles Times and CBS News are both now reporting that Michael Jackson has died. Now, CNN has not confirmed that, but the LA Times and CBS News are reporting that Michael Jackson, 50 years old, the king of pop, has died. A very, very sad moment.
Michael Jackson died due to a drug overdose. He was taken to the hospital where he was declared dead. The blame was placed on the doctor. The doctor directly stated that he was a proper doctor and did not kill Michael. It was either an accident or Michael Jackson's normal death. There were many complications in this case, but the entire case revolved around the doctor for drug overdose, which lasted for a long time. The public was very angry because they felt that Michael Jackson should not have died. If a little more attention had been paid, perhaps Michael Jackson would have survived. The doctor was found guilty and sent to jail, but he was released after 2 years due to good behavior. So basically, Michael Jackson died, and the reason was the doctor, and the doctor served 2 years in jail and then was set free. Basically, the entire case was concluded in a very short time, but why am I telling you all this? Because this is where the conspiracy theory about Michael Jackson, the most popular and widely believed conspiracy theory, begins. The conspiracy theory about Michael Jackson is that Michael Jackson was killed by Tommy Mottola because Michael Jackson started to speak up. Michael Jackson had been in the industry for a long time, so indirectly, Michael Jackson knew every dirty secret about the industry, especially about Sony. Because of working with Sony, everything that was going on behind the scenes came to light. Basically, Michael Jackson knew too much, and it was known that Tommy Mottola, the owner of Sony, was infamous for a long time because of slave contracts. Along with the slave contracts, due to the Mariah Carey situation, we can understand that Tommy Mottola was an evil man. And when he realized that Michael Jackson is speaking out and beginning to match, it's possible that Michael Jackson was killed somewhere. Through Tommy Mottola's using, Michael Jackson's doctor was involved because the investigation revealed that the doctor who was treating Michael Jackson was going through a financial crisis in his life. He needed money in many places, and it's very possible that Tommy Mottola said, "I'll give you money if you do this. Get rid of Michael Jackson. And after staying in jail for a year or two, you can come out." It's very possible that this is what happened, because many people who were close to Michael Jackson directly stated that Michael Jackson was pretty healthy compared to a 50-year-old man. He was pretty healthy, and he shouldn't have died so soon. Basically, Michael Jackson was murdered. Along with this, a very crazy thing happened. If you notice, as soon as Michael Jackson started speaking out against Sony and against labels and against everything that was going wrong in the music industry, many false allegations began to surface against Michael Jackson. There were many such allegations against Michael Jackson, and after several months of trial, it was proven that Michael Jackson is not guilty. The false accusations came at the time when Michael Jackson started exposing everyone, and when Sony began to be extremely exposed, Michael Jackson died. It makes sense that Tommy Mottola planned it. Now comes the second conspiracy theory, and this conspiracy theory splits into two parts. One part is for those who were never Michael Jackson's fans, they just know about him, and they might think this theory is nonsense. And the second part is for those who are Michael Jackson's fans for a long time, and somewhere this theory could seem true to them. We discussed how smart Michael was, and along with that, Michael Jackson was very powerful. He had money, resources, everything. And a fascinating fact is that Michael Jackson was the king of disguise. Michael Jackson was good at changing his appearance, and many celebrities have also said this.
I didn't realize how in tune Mike was with what was happening in the music business. So we sat down, man, he's telling me about all the stuff he's doing, the foundation and all these programs he got for the kids, and you hear what I'm doing. He's like, man, we gotta come together and build schools in Africa. And he was like, you wanna go to the movies? I was like, movies? You go to the movies? He said, yeah, let's go. So he goes into the room. 20 minutes later, he comes back out. And I'm like, okay, shit, where's Mike? The guy that came back out was like, I'm right here. I was like, this ain't Mike. I said, Mike, that's you? This nigga came out looking like an old man with a long ass beard, this little hat move in his trench, like a complete disguise. I was like, oh shit. He said, you ready? I said, yeah, I'm ready. So at this point now, I'm tripped out because I'm like, I just saw Mike just change and turn into a whole nother person. Like he was a king of disguises. Like this nigga could have been standing next to you the whole time. You would not even know it was Mike.
And you actually got to meet Michael Jackson at some point during the filming of this.
Yeah, but I didn't know it at the time.
What do you mean?
Because he was in disguise.
What kind of disguise did he have? Explain it to me.
It was like He had a beard for sure.
He had a fake beard.
He had a beard.
Wow. Okay.
He definitely looked like an older white guy. And I mean, even the clothes that he had on, because he was like cool with Rick Baker and
Michael Jackson was very popular, and whenever he had to go out, he used to change his appearance to go out and look great. The second conspiracy theory is that Michael Jackson faked his death. I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. Michael Jackson faked his death because somewhere, somehow, he started to expose everything. The entire music industry somewhere wanted to get rid of him. And of course, Michael was smart enough and powerful enough to know that something like this might happen. What if he faked his own death before someone else came and did something? It's very possible. Many Michael Jackson fans believe and want to believe that their beloved pop star didn't just die like that his life didn't just go to waste. They don't want to believe this thing, and this theory fuels that belief. You know when you came across it, when a victim appeared on a TV show, a burn victim, and when Michael Jackson's fans saw that victim, they straight up said, "This is Michael Jackson himself, look."
How old were you at the time?
I was about 7 years old at the time.
And were you in the hospital?
I was not in the hospital at the time. I was in interim back and forth from surgery. Well, to liberate myself from the confines of my father's criminality.
He caused the fire?
Yeah. He is a criminal, and he caused all this.
Michael Jackson fans can look and say straight up that this is Michael Jackson, the way he sits, the way he talks. It's very hard to believe that this person isn't Michael Jackson. This person's name was Dave, and the amazing thing is that Dave and Michael Jackson have a picture together from old times. So this theory carries some weight. But if we consider that Michael Jackson was the king of disguise and Dave was severely burned in his childhood, then it's very possible that Michael Jackson was also wandering around incognito. Just a theory. This conspiracy theory proves one thing, that the music industry is very evil. It's very evil. Something is going on, very cult-like behavior. The music industry is like that. If an artist is there, it's very difficult for them to enter this industry. And if an artist enters this industry once, then they can't easily get out.